Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. Well, this is a special week in the Christian calendar. It's Holy Week. It's the week that spans from Palm Sunday, which was 2 days ago, to Easter. And I'm using this as a week to concentrate with some important lessons from the life of Jesus, and lessons that if you're a follower of Jesus are extremely important to you, but lessons that I think if you're not a follower of Jesus might at least interest you, if not also inspire you in some ways. And so today I thought I'd look at a passage that often on Holy Weeks looked at actually Thursday, but I wanted to look at it today because it's really meaningful to me in a way that I think might be meaningful to you. And it happened just before Passover. That's Jewish Pesach. That's the celebration of the liberation of Israel from Pharaoh and this bondage of slavery that Israel had experienced in Egypt. And so just before Passover, Jesus is having a supper with his very closest followers, his disciples that later become apostles. And during this supper, Jesus gets up and he gets a wash basin and a towel, and he starts to wash the feet of his apostles. Now, washing feet is something that was very important in that day and age, in the sense that you wore open shoes, sandals, roads were dusty, not paved, and your feet got quite dirty. To wash feet was a demeaning thing to do, but it was also a very important thing to do. And while most people would wash their own feet, adult men in that culture could invoke an order that a slave wash their feet. Now, Hebrew law was kind of interesting on this point. Hebrew law said that you could not ask a Jewish slave to wash your feet, but you could ask a pagan slave or order a pagan slave to wash your feet if you're a Jewish owner of such pagan slaves. So for Jesus to get up and to start to wash his apostles' feet had to be rather stunning. This is like the President of the United States coming over to your house for dinner, and when dinner is over, he gets up and starts doing the dishes, not just his own, but everybody else's. You know, it's just not done. And so his apostles realize what's going on. Oh, he gets as far as pouring the water in the basin and wrapping a towel on him. And he starts in with Peter, and Peter is just like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to wash my feet? And Jesus says, look, you don't understand what I'm doing right now, but you will later. So just let me do this. And Peter says, there's no way I'll let you wash my feet. And Jesus says, hey, if you don't let me wash you, you got nothing to do with me. Of course, Jesus is talking on a whole different level than Peter's understanding. And Peter's just kind of like, well, hey, then wash me from head to toe. But what Jesus was doing was illustrating a point. He's choosing the last week of his life to reinforce this point. And the point is this, that Jesus, our Lord and Master, finds it within his not just character, but inherent in who he is to serve and wash the feet of those around him. I gotta tell you, I can look at this story and I can laugh at Peter. I can look at this story and I can admire Jesus. But do I look at this story and realize how important it is in this life for me to serve those around me? Think about it. I mean, do you serve the people who, I'm a small business owner. Do I try to serve the people who work for me? Would people in relationships with me characterize me as someone who serves them? I got an email the other day about somebody who has a working relationship, and instead of serving those he works with, he seems to dump on those he works with, and do so in a way that's frankly doesn't come across very kind. That's the exact opposite of the example that was so important for Jesus, that he set that example in the last week of his life in a way that was so memorable, it got written up in John's gospel. So as you think about this during Holy Week, I would like you to consider just being really attentive to how well you are serving other people. That's your video thought for the day.